In this video, we will be showing you how to manage call center settings using the Telesystem Call Management Portal. Call centers allow you to queue calls and manage how they are distributed to users with call center agent licensing. Start by logging into the portal as the tenant or group administrator. Use the navigation pane on the left-hand side of the screen and access the Call Flows menu. There will be three options for call center management, including call queues, call centers, and premium call centers. The call queues menu is where you can go to manage basic call centers. The call centers menu is where you can manage standard call centers. Most call centers are premium call centers and are managed in the premium call centers menu. Click on the appropriate option based on the call center you are managing. On the overview page, you will see a list of the available call centers built. Additional tabs are available to view high-level calling statistics. Enterprise or tenant admins will also see options for call center disposition codes and agent unavailable codes. The Calling Statistics tab will show each call center with information about number of calls answered, not answered, waiting, and call duration. Options along the top allow admins to search for stats by date and filter by criteria. On the Call Disposition Codes tab, you can add or modify call disposition codes. The disposition codes are attributes applied to a call to identify marketing promotions or other topics pertaining to a call used for reporting. For example, if you wanted to determine how many calls where the caller required technical support versus calls about billing questions, you can create a call disposition code for each. The call center agent would need to log into the GUI interface to field calls and then have an option to tag the calls appropriately for reporting. On the Unavailable Codes tab, admins can add or manage agent unavailable codes to be used for the call center. These codes are used for reporting and monitoring the call center. They allow call center supervisors and admins to determine why agents who are logged into the call center are not available to field calls. On this tab, you can choose to enable or disable agent unavailable codes by changing the toggle switch. Note that this will affect all call centers you have set up. When enabled, admins can also choose default codes to be used based on events. For example, if an agent puts their phone into Do Not Disturb while logged into a call center, or if an agent is presented with a call but does not answer and the call bounces. Admins may select a code to be used in these instances using the drop-down boxes. At the bottom of the tab is where you can find the current unavailable codes, or use the Add button to create new ones. Going back to the Overview tab, click on the name of a call center to access the settings specific to that call center. If you are logged in as a group or site level administrator, you will also have an option to add a new call center queue to that group or site. When you access a specific call center, the first page you will see is the dashboard. The dashboard provides a high-level overview of the call center using different widgets. Here you will see the number of agents online or logged in, the number of calls currently in the queue, and the average wait time for callers in the queue. Depending on the level of the call center that you have, additional widgets may also be available. For example, a widget showing average abandon time, agent statistics, or the call center's schedule with information about the current status and a button to force close. Force close should be used for emergency routing to stop calls from reaching the queue. If you use the force close, you will then have an option to click open to resume your regular schedule. On the settings menu, admins will be able to adjust queue settings, bounce call settings, overflow settings, agent settings, advanced settings, stranded call settings, call disposition codes, agent unavailable codes specific to the queue, and a daily report configuration. Note once again that the available settings will be determined by the type of call center you have. Premium call centers will have all available options, while standard and basic call centers will have fewer options available. For the purposes of this demo, we'll be going through a premium call center so we can cover all available options. Starting with the queue settings, in the queue settings menu, admins can configure the queue length and call center routing policy. Queue length determines how many calls can be in the queue while all available agents are handling calls. The available queue length is dependent on the type of the call center. A premium call center is capable of up to 525 callers in queue, while a standard call center can only have 50 callers, and a basic call center has a max of 25 callers in queue. On this page, you can also choose how calls are routed to agents. First, choose if you'd like to use skill-based routing or not. If skill-based routing is selected, you'll be able to choose between regular, circular, or uniform call distribution options. If skill-based routing is not selected, you will also have options for simultaneous and weighted call distributions. Hover your mouse over each option to see a brief description of how that call distribution option is set up. On the bounce settings page, admins can configure the call center routing policy for calls not answered by agents. Choose how many times it will ring to an agent before the call goes back to the queue. Enable the second option to bounce a call if the agent becomes unavailable while routing the call to the agent. If an agent places a call on hold for a set period of time, admins may choose to alert the agent via an audible ringtone, then use a follow-up setting to bounce the call back into the queue if the call remains on hold for an additional period of time. Bounce calls can also be transferred to a phone number or extension if it is unanswered. For example, a secondary queue or voicemail box may be the targets used for this setting. The overflow settings menu allows admins to decide what should happen in case more calls are received than the queue can handle. This is based on the queue length previously set. Options include performing a busy treatment, transferring the call to a specified phone number like a voicemail box or backup call center, or playing ringing until the caller hangs up. The option to enable overflow after timeout allows admins to perform overflow treatment for calls that are also in the queue but waiting too long. For example, if you wanted a call to go to overflow after waiting an hour in queue, you could enable this option, set the target to 3,600 seconds, and then have the call transferred to a voicemail box or escalation queue. You may also choose to play an announcement to callers before overflow processing. Check the box and choose to use a system default message, or a custom media file that can be uploaded. We recommend custom files that advise the callers of what is happening, like a message that states, due to a high volume of calls, the call will be sent to voicemail to leave a message, and an agent will return your call, or something to that effect. The agent settings menu is where you can define default options for agents assigned to this call center. The first option is to allow agents to join. When this is enabled, agents can use the call center call management portal or call center agent GUI to add or remove themselves from the call center queue. This may be useful for when an agent is assigned to multiple queues but doesn't need to be logged into all of them at once. They have the ability to disassociate themselves from any queues that have this option enabled and can jump back in as needed by simply checking or unchecking a join box. Other settings in this menu allow for call waiting on agents. This is not recommended, as most call centers do not want to present more than one call to an agent at a time. The wrap-up state is intended to provide agents with time to do any follow-up work on an account immediately after a call ends, like notating an account or sending an email. The Enable Calls to Agents in Wrap-Up State option allows the call center to distribute calls to agents who are in the wrap-up state in order to speed up the average speed to answer. The next option allows call center admins to automatically set the agent state immediately after they complete a call from the queue. This does not pertain to personal or direct dial calls that are made or received outside of the call center. If you would like to have your agents automatically answer a call when it is presented, you can use the automatically answer call after waiting setting. We recommend using this when your call center agents wear headsets to field calls. Otherwise, their phone will just go off hook and likely put the call on speakerphone. Set the number of seconds before the auto answer happens based on when the call is presented to the agent. A distinctive ring option is also available. This setting allows you to select a distinctive ring pattern for an agent's phone to play, which allows them to audibly hear that the call is coming from the call center and not a direct dial or extension to extension call. In the Advanced Settings menu, choose to allow callers to dial a digit on their keypad to escape out of the queue. If you are interested in using this option, you will want to set the target using additional configuration with a Call for Busy feature that will be available in the Incoming Calls menu. This is not assigned by default, so you may need to contact your Telesystem account manager to have it added. You can also choose to play ringing when offering a call. When this is enabled, the caller will know their call is moving from the queue to an agent because they will stop hearing the comfort message and start to hear ringing until the agent answers the call. The Stranded Calls menu allows admins to configure what happens to callers in the queue when all agents are signed out or become unavailable. Options include leaving the call in the queue, transfer the call to another phone number or extension, play a busy tone or busy treatment, play ringing until the caller hangs up, or use the same behavior as after hours treatment. Like the overflow settings, you can also choose to play an announcement before beginning the stranded call treatment. We recommend a message to callers that lets them know that the call center is closed and to call back again during regular business hours. Or if you're using the stranded call routing for when agents are unavailable, you may want to play a different announcement letting them know that the call center is shut down for an emergency and to try again later. When configuring the stranded call options for agents in unavailable, you can select to use the stranded call policy because a set number of agents are using a predefined code, which could be a tornado warning or a more general emergency code. The Call Disposition Codes menu allows admins to add or modify call disposition codes. While call disposition codes are created at the enterprise or tenant level, admins can use this menu to specify available call disposition codes on a per call center basis. Use the toggle switch to enable or disable the use of the codes. Choose to use a default call disposition code for this particular call center queue. This ensures every call is tagged whether or not the agent selects a disposition code. At the bottom of the page, you can add additional codes or delete existing ones. In the Agent Unavailable Codes menu, you can choose which code to use for the specific call center. Codes are created and managed at the enterprise or tenant level. Finally, the Daily Report Configuration menu. This menu allows you to set up a daily mail report on the performance of the call center and its agents. First, choose between 30 and 60-minute reporting periods, and then add up to 2 email addresses to receive the report. Use the toggle switch at the top of the page to enable or disable this feature. Next, we'll go to the Agents menu. On the Agents menu, you will see the Agents widget from the dashboard that identifies how many agents are currently logged in, how many calls are currently in queue, and the average wait time. Down below, you will see the agents assigned to the queue. The order of the agents in this table determines what order they will receive calls depending on the call distribution policy. If you are using a weighted call distribution or skill-based routing policy, you can adjust those skill-based assignments or wait percentages on this menu. Other policies are based on the order the agents are listed. To adjust the order, you can simply drag and drop agents in the list. To add additional agents, click the Add button. Select any available user with a compatible call center agent license assigned and add them to the queue. Remove agents by clicking on the trash can icon. Click on the name of an agent to manually adjust their status for them using a drop-down box. Also view what call centers the agent is a member of. On the Statistics tab, admins can view call center statistics for each agent associated with the queue, including number of calls handled, number of calls missed, average call duration, total call duration, and total time online. The Schedules menu is where admins can go to apply schedules to the call center. At the top of the page, you will see the current call center status based on scheduling. You also have a button available to force close the call center for an emergency, or to reopen the call center from the force close state. Under opening hours, you can choose if your call center has opening hours. Many call centers have calls that route to it based on an auto attendant, so this may not be enabled for your call center. If you enable it, you will need to assign a schedule to the call center. If you enable the opening hours and apply a schedule, then you can use the rest of the options on this page to choose what happens if a call is routed to your call center after hours. Use the action button option to choose if you want to apply busy treatment or transfer the calls to another number. The next section, labeled After Business Hours Announcement, is where you choose what announcement will play. Choose from a system default message or a custom audio file or 4 custom files that play in order to the caller before taking the action selected above. You can also choose to play a different announcement when the force closed option is used so that callers know that even though it is during regular business hours, there was a problem and the call center had to close. Under the advanced settings, you can choose if you want to allow feature access codes to manually override night service. Those codes would be #70 to activate the manual override and #71 to deactivate the manual override. At the bottom of the page is where you can see and manage the current schedule for business hours assigned to the call center. On the Holidays tab, similar options are available, but for holiday schedules. Typically, with the holiday schedules, you block off specific dates on the calendar where the call center is closed. Assign the appropriate holiday schedule and choose the action and announcements to play to your callers. You can view the holiday schedule at the bottom of the page. The media menu allows you to control messages that play to your callers as they enter the queue, wait in the queue for the call to be answered, or when an agent places the call on hold. Starting with the entrance message, you can choose if you want to play an entrance message to callers. The message will play immediately when they reach the queue. When this option is enabled, you can choose if the user has to listen to the full entrance message. If this box is checked, even if an agent is available to handle the call, the entrance message will be played in its entirety before the call is routed to an agent. Down below, you can select between using the system default message or up to 4 custom media files that will play to your caller when they are selected. Next is the estimated wait message. Admins have the ability to play a system message to callers as they wait in the queue for an agent to answer their call. This message can indicate their position in the queue or the approximate wait time, which is calculated based on the number of agents assigned, average call handle time, and number of callers currently in queue ahead of the caller. Enable this feature using the toggle switch at the top of the page, then choose how often the message should update the caller using the checkbox labeled Repeat Estimated Wait Message every set number of seconds. Now use the radio buttons to choose between announcing the queue position or the wait time. You can only choose one or the other. When you make your selection, you can also set a threshold. If you choose to announce the wait time instead of the position to the callers, you can also manually input a default handle time, which can be used to calculate the average wait time. Finally, choose if you want to play a high volume message to callers. This will play to callers above the set threshold, advising them there is a high volume of calls. Next, we set the waiting music. This setting allows you to set the music on hold message. This is what is used to play to callers when an agent has answered the call but needs to place the caller on hold. You can choose between the system default music, on hold, or select from custom media files to play. The last option for media is the comfort message. The comfort message is the message that plays to callers in the queue while they wait for an agent to field their call. When the estimated wait message is enabled, it will interrupt the comfort message to give status updates to the caller. You can choose the amount of time between comfort messages, which will determine how often it restarts, and then choose between system default messaging or custom media files. At the top of the page, there are tabs to manage the upload audio files for custom messaging. On the dedicated announcement section, you will find audio files that are specific to this call center. While on the group announcements tab, you will find audio files that can be used by the call center, as well as other group services and features. If you want to add or record a message specific to the call center, click the Add button. Choose to upload a file you already have or record announcements using the computer's microphone. For group announcements, you need to navigate to the site menu and use the media menu there to add any new recordings. On the supervisors menu, you can select users who are assigned as supervisors to the queue. Note that a true supervisor must have supervisor licensing to log into the GUI to manage calls and call center monitoring licensing to listen in on calls. Unlicensed users can be assigned as supervisors, which simply allows for agents to escalate calls to them, but they will not have full supervisor functionality. Add additional supervisors by clicking the Add button. Select the user from the list, then select any agents to assign to the supervisor. The DNIS menu allows admins to manage a dialed number identification service. This essentially allows you to add other phone numbers to the same queue with alternative call treatment options. This can be useful if you want to track calls for a promotional period by assigning a special phone number for people to call into. Then you can assign custom announcements for the DNIS so that the callers can hear an entrance message, comfort message, and music on hold that is specifically marketing to callers who are interested in the promotional item or service. The call center still uses the same agents and schedules, but you can assign a priority to the DNIS if you need to ensure that those calls are handled faster than regular queue calls. The DNIS display settings allow you to present DNIS caller ID number and name to your call center agents instead of the queue's normal number, so they know they are receiving a call for a specific option. The DNIS priority settings allow you to choose how to promote DNIS calls so they do not get promoted to a higher priority tier, depending on how long the caller is waiting to ensure the call is answered in a timely manner you expect. In the table, you can click the pencil icon for any DNIS that was set up to edit the assigned phone number, extension, priority level, calling line ID number, and name. Use the Add button to create a new DNIS. On the DNIS Announcements tab, you can select a DNIS to modify the media announcements. The same options for entrance, comfort, hold, and estimated wait messaging are all available for editing. On the Details menu, you can edit the name, calling ID, and time zone of the call center by clicking on the pencil icon. On the Phone Numbers tab, you can edit the phone number and extension as well. For more information about our products and services, please visit our website at www.trusttelesystem.com.